Hey everyone! Welcome back to Lio and Lia podcast, where we chat about English in a relaxed and natural way.
And hi there. We're delighted to have you here today. I'm Leah.
And I'm Leo. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Yeah, really, we're thrilled you're here. After all, we get started. If you're enjoying the podcast, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe if you don't want to miss any episode of this incredible podcast.
Absolutely. Remember, guys, it really helps us out and means we can keep bringing you more episodes like this one, which will help you improve every day.
Really. So, what is on the agenda today, Leo?
Well, today's episode is a bit different. We're covering quite a lot of important phrasal verbs.
That's right. We'll be exploring the 50 most essential phrasal verbs that native speakers are used constantly, from the simple ones to those that can trip you up in the best ways.
Yeah, and Leah will also look at how to put together sentences with them. Using them correctly with nouns and pronouns to make up your thoughts clearly.
And throughout the conversation, we'll be throwing in loads of useful examples that you can pick up and start using right away.
So, whether you're preparing for an exam or just want to sound more natural in English, this episode has something for everyone.
You are right. Shall we dive in? I cannot wait any longer.
Let's do it!
Okay, so Leo, let's kick things off with some phrasal verbs that you hear almost every single day. Now, this is one area that tends to confuse quite a few learners.
It really does. But once you get the hang of it, you'll realize they're actually not as scary as they seem.
Exactly. So, what exactly is a phrasal verb? As far as I know, it's a verb combined with an adverb or a preposition, or sometimes both, which creates a new meaning, one that you can't usually figure out from the individual words.
Right. So, we're basically talking about verbs that have taken on new meaning, or which are essential to carrying out a natural conversation. The first one we must mention is look up.
Wow, Leo, let me give you an example for our wonderful learners. Here is: if you don't know a word, you should look it up in the dictionary. So, in reality, the individual words mean to look higher, but here the combined verb means to search for necessary information.
Perfect example. And notice how we can put the object it up between the verb and the preposition. That's a crucial thing to remember.
Now, when should you bring up this topic? Well, anytime you're reflecting on how to improve your vocabulary and sort out your understanding of common English idioms.
Yeah, like when you're giving advice about learning, expressing the need to get by in a new language, or just thinking about how to go about studying.
So you might say, I need to wake up earlier tomorrow. Again, wake is just a simple verb, but wake up means to stop sleeping. We're talking about a common daily action.
Now, let's talk about some common mistakes that learners often run into with this structure.
Oh, yes. Here is one of the biggest ones is forgetting the second part. People sometimes say things like, I must get there at 6 o'clock.
Right, and that's incorrect. You must add the second part. It should be, I must get up at 6 o'clock. This also works for get over, recover, and get away, escape a sun vacation.
Another mistake is putting the object in the wrong place. Remember, for separable verbs like put off, postpone, the object can go in between them, put it off. You should never mix up that order.
Absolutely. And sometimes learners forget that a phrasal verb can have many meanings. For example, take off can mean to remove clothing or for a plane to leave the ground.
Good point. Hold on is talking about waiting, whereas hold up is clearly about a delay or even robbing a bank. Context is everything when you want to find out what the speaker means.
So those are the main things to watch out for. Structure, different meanings, and making sure you're using them in the right context. We've gone through 25 already.
Now, we've been talking about this in quite an abstract way, haven't we?
Exactly. That's the key thing to remember. The phrasal verbs aren't just a grammar exercise, it's something we genuinely use when we look back on the past and think about how things could have been different.
Yes, pay attention to how the speakers use them to talk about daily plans and solve small problems. Let's have a listen. Here we go. Suspenso. Okay, so this is another area that causes quite a bit of confusion for English learners, the difference between simple verbs and using their phrasal verb form.
Oh yes, this is a big one. Even students at intermediate level sometimes struggle to know which one to use correctly to get across a more complex meaning.
So let's break it down. First, let's talk about call off. This is probably the easier of the two to understand. We use it to mean cancel an event or agreement.
Right. So if I say, we had to call off the meeting because the boss was sick, that's using call off instead of cancel. The action is finished and we know what happened. The boss was sick. Now let's look at bring about. We form it with bring plus the preposition about. For example, his hard work brought about his promotion, or the new law will bring about change.
Exactly. The meaning is clear and specific. You could also say, she dropped out of college, abandon, or they broke up yesterday, ended a relationship. All of these give us a definite action.
That's the key. So if I say, we need to come up with a new plan, think of an idea, I'm talking about the process of creation. I'm not saying when I will do it. Maybe it will be later today. Maybe it will be next week. The important thing is that I have to do it.
Great example. Another common use is for actions that started in the past and continue to the present. Like, I have kept on studying for the last hour. Continue.
Right, because you still study now. If you said, I studied for the last hour, that would mean you don't study anymore. But the phrasal verb keep on implies continuation. Now, let's talk about when to use each one. Use phrasal verbs to sound more natural when you're telling a story, or when you need a verb that carries a specific or idiomatic meaning.
So, I looked after my neighbor's cat last night. Take care of. Use look after instead of the simpler care for because we are mentioning a specific time, and it sounds more natural.
Spot on. Use them also when you are talking about completing an action. I'll finish up the report tomorrow. Finish. The up emphasizes the completion.
So, Leo, another use of the phrasal verb is for recent actions where the result is important now. Like, the concert was a huge success. It went off brilliantly. Succeeded.
Brilliant. Now, what about common mistakes? What do you see students doing wrong?
One of the biggest mistakes is trying to translate directly from your language. You can't say, I turned the light. You have to say, I turned off the light. Switch off.
Exactly. Words like turned off, put on, dress, try out, test. These all require a preposition to make sense, not just the verb.
Remember, Leo, another common error is forgetting to use the correct preposition. Put on is for clothing, but put up is for enduring or erecting something. They must not be mixed up.
Good point. And some students mix them up and say things like, I put the shirt in, which is incorrect, as it should be put on or put away.
Also, in everyday English, you'll often hear a phrasal verb where a single verb would suffice. For example, we might say, I'll check out that new restaurant, instead of the simple I will investigate.
That's true, but for learners, it's good to understand both forms and know the standard rules and how checking out a restaurant is more casual than investigate it.
Absolutely. And remember, the key question to ask yourself is, am I talking about a simple action, or am I conveying an idiomatic or multi-layered meaning?
If it's a simple action, simple verb. If there's a multi-layered meaning, phrasal verb, but couldn't have said it better myself.
Vocabulary recap. Well, we have gotten almost to the final. Right, then let's do a quick recap of the episode. We've covered quite a lot of ground today, haven't we?
We really have. And throughout all those conversations, did you notice how many phrasal verbs came up naturally?
Really, it was incredible to our listeners. And we used to pay attention several times, meaning to focus on or concentrate on something carefully.
So that's quite a collection of phrasal verbs. The key thing is that they all appeared in natural contexts, not just as isolated examples.
Exactly. That's how you really learn them, by hearing them used in realistic conversations where they make sense.
And if you want to practice these, try using them in your own sentences or conversations. The more you use them, the more natural they'll become.
Couldn't agree more. Thanks for listening to us, and I hope to see you again. And remember, listen and practice. Goodbye.